which means people can start using FSH on cycle regularly, economically. How you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you. I think we should get started by, I want to make a personal announcement, and Bostin doesn't have to comment on this at all. But, in YouTube, it's interesting, like for the audience to know, I used to be a YouTube watcher, and so sometimes you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how really YouTubers are behind the scenes, what their personalities are like, whether they really like the way they portray themselves on camera. And as the audience knows, I'm a big fan of Boston's, and I've been a fan of Boston's for I guess a decade, must be. And then I started chatting with Boston a few years ago, and ever since I've known him, he's always been wonderful in private. And I always tell people that. But recently, something happened, which we don't need to get into detail about, but something happened in which Boston basically chose, and I want the audience to know this because it's unbelievable what Boston did, which is Boston chose between views and helping his career or being loyal to his friend, which happened to be me. And just without a doubt chose me. And the other people that had this choice, obviously, were less close to me than Boston, but obviously they chose the career part or whatever. I don't know but Boston, without a doubt, I didn't expect it. I thought, I wouldn't even put pressure on Boston. I would have told him, like, I totally understand because, this is you're shooting yourself in the foot for your friend. But he did it without me even being able to tell him not to. He already went ahead and said so. So I just wanted the audience to know, like, this is a rare human being that really is who he says he is. It's not just that he's honest with you guys about drugs or his private life or whatever. He seems to be really like that with his friends too. And I got to say to you, boss, I told you already, but I mean it, business, we look at each other. You have my loyalty for life, really. I never forget when a friend does something like that for me. And I know when it's genuine, and it means just so much to me. It's one of the most beautiful things anyone's ever done for me.
I appreciate it, man. But it's honestly just doing the right thing. That's what it comes down to. And yeah, like you said, that whole situation was so silly, man. But
it is silly, and you're right. It is silly, and it isn't deserving. And I'm glad, like, you try to talk some sense of it. But I what you did though, irrespective, that lives on forever in eternity. That is an action. That's what I say sometimes in life. Like people say, like life is so fleeting. We live and die, and nothing means anything. But sometimes people commit actions that are so beautiful that I believe they echo in the halls of eternity forever. And this is one of those. Anyway, I just don't want to get too philosophical, but it means a lot to me. Now, getting away from that mushy stuff, we have a few things to discuss. Oh, one housekeeping thing. So, I'm sure the audience knows it's annoying for the people who are true fans that there are clips being posted when you want to watch the full video. I understand that. And originally, honestly, I started posting the clips because we had new subscribers to the channel who weren't that invested in the podcast. So they made some comments saying, hey, would you post clips like Joe Rogan Show or these guys, they post little clips. I used to do that back in the day so that they could get invested in the podcast. They could see if it's interesting or not. I also noticed that the average watch time on the podcast was really low. It was like 20 minutes on a 2-hour podcast or on an hour and a half podcast. So most people weren't watching the full thing. But then there were a lot of cool things we were talking about in the Q&A. So I thought, okay, so I should do these clips. So first I did the clips before the podcast. Then now I thought about putting the full podcast first. But then yesterday I was talking to Derek from More Plates, More Dates on the podcast. And I was telling him the conundrum, the situation, because I don't want to upset the true fans. If somebody really wants to watch the full podcast, like I'd watch the full thing. So I don't want to, those guys have to wait another week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, so I don't know. The thing is, so I talked to Derek. Derek said, if it's helping your channel, if you put the full podcast first, they're not going to watch the clips. Now, this is the thing I want you guys to understand, just for the viewers to know, because they're not into the YouTube thing. So it's not about money. I don't make much money from YouTube. It's not the money from the clips. It's the fact that every time you click a clip, it upregulates the YouTube channel and the algorithm. So if you click a clip or if you comment on a clip, which now, like, say you watch a 2-hour video with Boston, we talked about 30 questions. How are you going to comment on, but if there's 4 clips, you could talk about them in the comment section. So the way I wanted to say it to the guys is just, I wanted to plead with them. Think of it this way. I know it's a little bit annoying to wait a week, but if you did click on the clips, you're helping not just my channel, but also our podcast grow. So you're doing your part to really help us. And I really appreciate it. Like really, genuinely.
Most people that I've talked to, Leo, enjoy the short clips because you do a clip of like 10, 12 minutes or whatever. And then underneath you say what we talked about.
Exactly.
It's like Generation Iron does. And that other guy, that big YouTuber who interviewed Chad Nichols, Dexter Jackson, entertainment something. He has like millions of followers. He does clips and then he posts the whole interview. I think it's better to do it that way.
Okay, I'm glad you're on board. Okay, great. Because we didn't talk, Boston and I didn't talk much about it beforehand. Okay, so another thing I wanted to mention about the forum. So Boston, everyone knows Boston has a wonderful forum. It's actually extremely useful. I've grown to love it very much. Right now, I'm in the process. So we have on the forum an Indian. So this is basically how it goes. Like there are some pharmaceutical stuff from abroad. I'm not talking about steroids, but other pharmaceutical stuff. You can get them from like Indian pharmacies usually, but like All Day Chemist, Clear Sky Pharmacy, all that stuff is on the forum. But those guys are a little bit expensive because they get a lot of customers. So there's also another alternative. You go through Turkey, and Boston has a lot of Turkish stuff on the thing. But then there's another alternative, which we were going through India Mart. And then so I had one of my clients successfully get HCG kits for $7 a kit, and they worked. So we put that on the forum. But now I'm personally, because I have that seller, he's really cheap, that India guy. He's very reliable. But that guy doesn't have one of the drugs. For example, I like safinamide, which is a monoamine oxidase B inhibitor. It increases dopamine in the body. So that's a rare drug. It's new. So I found an Indian guy who has it. So now if I receive the product and it's good, I'll also add that there. This guy is selling 900 unit recombinant FSH, folotropin alpha, for $300. Cheapest I've ever heard in my life. Pregnil HCG for $10.
And that's on India Mart?
No, it's not. He's on India Mart, but like you got to talk to the pharmacy. And like I talked to him and I was like, listen, I have a channel and we have a forum. I'll put you on the forum, but the deal is this. You give us as close to cost. We'll get you tons of volume. People will order. I told him I don't want anything for myself, but give us cost, like compete with them. So he's like, okay, this is the best price I can do. $10 for a pregnant kit. I was like, okay, now we're talking.
Yeah, because I went on Indian Mart. It's just the payments are a little weird, right?
It's extremely confusing. Basically, you have to negotiate with them independently. So we had my client got that one guy, but he doesn't have everything. So now I'm working on this with this guy. His name is Aditya. And anyway, me and Aditya are chatting a lot. Him in India and me in California, and we become friends. So I'm trying to make sure that he sends it to me, and if it is, I'll add it on there, and then you guys will have $10 pregnal kits and $300 900 unit FSH kits, which would be insane. Which means people can start using FSH on cycle regularly, economically. So this is a huge. So yeah, I'm really glad you have that form.